So we can make ourselves comfortable and we can sit upright but relaxed. We can relax our shoulders, relax our face. Just come back to our breathing, the sensations of our breath going in and our breath going out while we listen to 3 sounds of the bell together. Dear respected Thai, dear beautiful community, thank you all for coming to this session of questions and answers, or questions and responses. Maybe to start off, it is nice to hear who is sitting here. So maybe we can go from our left to the right, and we can shortly introduce ourselves. Maybe we can say our name, where we are from, and our favorite food, because we all love food.
Good morning, dear community. My name is Sister Mung Nghiêm. My nickname is Sister Monkey. And I'm from California, and I love blueberries.
So dear Sangha, my name is Sister Quỳnh Nghiêm, but if that's too difficult, you can call me Sister Cactus. And I am from Florida, and my favorite food is spring rolls.
So, dear family, my name is Brother Dao Han, or Brother Action. Sometimes in the children's program, I also say Brother Onion, because it's not because I make everyone cry, just because Han with the accent, you get it, huh? So, my favorite food, I have to say, is my mom's cooking. There's no specific dish, but whatever my mom cooks, there's a lot of love going into that food. And she's not the greatest chef at all, but it's still my favorite food. She can just make a sandwich for me with peanut butter, and it tastes a lot better than I can make it myself. So dear family, we have we've had a wonderful retreat so far. We've heard beautiful Dharma talks, and we've had the chance to sit together, to share together, and to walk together. And during this session, we have time to ask any questions you might have. You know, whenever we practice, there might be things coming up, things that we normally don't take the time to hear. So that might be around our emotions or around our relationships or around the practice. And this is a time where we can ask these questions. And the three of us, the dream team here, we will do our best to give a response. And it is not, it's not that we shave our head and we have all the answers in the world. We are also very human, the monastics here. And but we do have a lot of experience in the practice and in life in general. So what we share will be our experience with the questions you ask. So a good question, it does not need to be long. Although we'd love to hear your life story. Maybe now is not the best time. So you can make your question concise, so short. And a good answer does also not need to be long, because I know we have many people here, so there might be quite a few questions. We will see. And yeah, so any question that is on your heart, I'd say a question that you cannot Google, because Uncle Google has a lot of answers, but there are some questions that we cannot really ask Google. Like things concerning difficulties in our relationship, for example, with our partner, with our parents, our siblings, our friends. Maybe we have difficulties in school. We have a lot of, at an early age already, a lot of pressure from society, from school, from our studies. So maybe you have a question how to deal with that, or maybe about strong emotions you might encounter. Anything related to these kind of things. Or maybe you want to know more about sitting or walking meditation, how to be more successful in that. So when you feel that you have a question, maybe your heart starts beating a little bit, then you are very welcome to come and sit here on the hot chair and ask your question. And if you don't feel comfortable sitting here, maybe one of your friends can ask a question for you. And we can also see that a good question, it can help many people. We all have difficulties in life sometime. We all deal with sadness or with anger. And so the question you ask, it is not only for you. It can benefit all of our friends here. So be brave and ask a question. So without further ado, whoever feels ready can come forward and take a seat here. And to see one friend coming up already. And if you feel you have a question, you can maybe line up next to the light there so that the session can go smoothly. So welcome, Kevin. Before every question, we will listen to one sound of the bell together so we can all breathe as one body.
Thank you. I think my question relates to meditating. Hello? I think this week we've spent a lot of time sitting, meditating, walking meditating, and I've realized that I don't really know how to meditate. I think that I've spent a lot of time trying, but I can't really get that clear mind. So I'm just wondering, like, how can I achieve that while I'm sitting meditating or walking meditating? And even like throughout my daily life, I can't really have a clear mind. There always seems to be a thought in it when I want to not think of anything, when I want to have that clear mind, I just can't achieve that. And I would like to get your insight on how to go about my sitting meditating or walking meditating, or just throughout my day. Yeah.
Thank you very much for your question. I will just repeat that so everyone hears it clearly. So the question is about meditation and how to train ourselves to become better at sitting meditation and walking meditation, and how to achieve a clear mind. Is that? So maybe I will just start with something, as I am holding the microphone already. I think that's a very good question and very valid for everyone here. So maybe instead of me sharing about it, we can just try it a little bit. So we can just close our eyes for a moment and listen to the words that I'm saying. This is where we guide our attention. So we can bring our attention to our face, relax our face. We can put a gentle smile on our face to help all the muscles relax. We can sit up tall but relaxed. Relax our shoulders. Relax our chest, our tummy. And we can feel our weight seated on the chair, carried by Mother Earth. With every in-breath, I feel my belly rising. And with the out-breath, I feel my belly falling. In and out. So we can open our eyes again. So I don't know for you, but when I practice like this, when I really intentionally guide my attention, there's no other thinking going on. So my mind, I don't know how your experience, this is just very brief, but when I intentionally guide my attention, my mind is really with my breathing and with my body. And I am a breathing mind. I am mindful of my body. And for a very short period, I think it is very easy for everyone to be successful in that. But we also have the experience when we sit longer, when we sit maybe for half an hour or 10 minutes, 15 minutes, half an hour, that it is very natural for the mind to also to fly off, for the thinking to start, and for our mind to think about maybe things that we still need to do, maybe some projects we have, or schoolwork that we still have to do, or maybe there is some sadness coming up from things that happened to us in the past. So when that happens, it's a very natural thing for the mind to do, for thoughts to come up, and we can just recognize it and simply bring our attention back to our breathing. And bit by bit, that can become a habit. If we just keep on guiding our attention back over and over again. If my mind wanders off 10 times, I bring it back 10 times. If it wanders off 100 times, I will bring it back 100 times. And slowly we will notice that the number of time our mind wanders off, it will become less and less. And the amount of time we can stay with the object we choose as our meditation object, it will become longer. So there are many things that we can meditate on, and the breath is a very good one, because the breath is very felt. We can feel it in our nose, we can feel it in our throat, in our chest, in our belly, and we can choose any spot that feels most comfortable. So you can either stay with your attention here at your nostrils and feel the air coming in and going out, or you can, maybe it's easier to feel it in your tummy, your belly rising and falling, or maybe you want to follow your breath and see how it feels throughout your body. So you can experiment with that and see what feels best. Because meditation, it should not be a chore for us. It is something that can bring us a lot of calm, and it can be something very enjoyable. And often when we don't meditate a lot, so when we start meditating, it seems that our thinking is increasing. But what I think is happening there is our awareness of our thinking is increasing. So normally we are thinking kind of all the time in our daily life. But when we sit down and we are calm, then we start to notice like, wow, I am actually thinking a lot. So it takes a lot of time and patience to build a habit for the mind to calm. So you can keep it interesting for yourself. So yeah, we have a lot of different guided meditations that can be very beneficial in the beginning. I think many of us have some kind of gadget, and we also have the Plum Village app. And there are many guided meditations on there. So if you feel it is beneficial for someone to guide you in your meditation with their words, you can put one of these on and listen to a guided meditation. If you feel more comfortable just doing it by yourself, then you can start just like how Brother Boo shared on the first day in his Dharma talk, with the 4 exercises. So coming back to our breathing, firstly just being aware of the in and out breath. Maybe it is helpful to count in the beginning. You can count with the in breath 1, breathing out 1, 2, 2, and see if you can make it to 10 breaths before your mind wanders off. If you cannot make it, that is okay. No need to be angry. You can just start, acknowledge that and start from 1 again. And when you feel that your mind is settled on the breathing, you can also incorporate your body. So you start to feel your body as if you're scanning your whole body. You start to feel your head, relax the muscles in your face, your shoulders, your arms, just how we've been doing also with total relaxation. And see if your mind can stay with your body and with your breathing in that way. So you can slowly find a way to make it interesting for you. So if just the breathing in and out, if the mind wanders more, you can try to follow the whole breath. And then the breathing and the body. So that is, those are some pointers that I like to give. I don't know if my sisters would like to add something there.
So dear Sangha, dear friend, I just like to add a little bit to what my brother have already shared. Meditation takes time, and it takes training and practice. When we have a busy life, there's a tendency for us to multitask because we feel that we don't have enough time, and we feel that, we may have to do 2 tasks or 3 tasks at the same time to get things done. Perhaps we are driving and talking on the phone at the same time, or walking and talking on our phone, or eating and studying at the same time. But when we meditate, we try to do 1 task at a time. And by doing one task at a time, our mind is there with our body. And their mind and body is united with that one task only. So when we sit, we simply just sit. When we walk, we simply just walk. Or when we eat, we simply just eat. And if we're able to do that in our daily life, we are already meditating. If you enjoy, during your time here, the practice of sitting meditation, perhaps when you go home, you can set aside 5 minutes, if your schedule allows, or 10 minutes, if your schedule allows you to, and just to sit and enjoy breathing in and breathing out. And it can be just as simple as that. If you are with your breath in that 5 or 10 minutes, you are able to bring your mind back home to your body and back to the present moment, and already you are meditating. Or if you enjoy the practice of walking meditation, perhaps when you go home, you can just, dedicate a path. It can be just a short path, a very short distance, perhaps going from maybe your home to your car, leaving your house to the car. And if within those short distance, a few steps, if you can just remind yourself that, in that short distance, you will practice walking meditation. So you simply just let go of everything and you become one with your steps during that short distance, leaving your home and walking to your car. If you can just dedicate and remind yourself every time you take this distance, you walk this distance, you will practice walking meditation. And it's like daily food, And if you remember just to do that every day, you are already practicing. And then from there, you can build on to practicing meditation in other aspects of your life. And that's how we meditate and build our mindfulness. I don't know if that's helpful. Thank you.
So we will listen to one sound of the bell together first. Come back to our breathing.
Okay, so my question is, how do I deal with the habit of constantly comparing myself to others, or navigate that mindset, especially when we live in a society that constantly compares and competes against each other? And also, I have a twin sister as well, and I can't help but compare myself to her, especially when other people have been doing that my entire life.
So I'll just repeat the question. So how do we stop comparing ourselves to others? Because we live in a very competitive society and there's a lot of comparison in our daily lives. And our friend also has a twin sister, so maybe she also compares herself to her siblings.
Dear everyone, thank you for your question. I'd like to ask, How many of you compare yourselves to others? How many of you often hear your parents comparing you to others? Does it feel good? Okay. So let's look at these orchids here. Do you think this orchid, this flower, it has to look exactly like this one over here? Who says yes? Raise your hand. Why not? Don't they look better if they look exactly the same so they match? No? Yes? Maybe? What about this one? This one here? Maybe you can't see it. Let me turn it over here. This one is more of a bud. It hasn't completely bloomed yet. I don't know if you can see it. Do we feel like this bud here, it has the bloom, so it's just like the one next to it to be called beautiful? I don't know if you can see it. Let me put it over here. There's this one bud here, and right next to it, there's a flower that's completely bloomed. Do you think this needs to look like this to be called beautiful? This is beautiful in its own stage, and this is also beautiful in its own stage. But why do we want everybody to look the same? Why do we want everybody to be homogenized? That would be so boring. We look wonderful as we are because we have many different shapes and colors. Can anybody guess why? Why is it that in society we always see on commercials, on advertisements, everywhere, buy this? Everyone will love you if you buy this, or wear this. If you wear this, then you will be accepted by society. Is it to make money off of you? Ooh, if everybody has the same nose, the same eyes, why? That's so silly. It's like saying all these flowers, you have to look exactly the same size, exactly the same colors. That would be quite boring. Now, how can you compare yourself with others in a beneficial way? It's okay to compare, but we can compare ourselves with others in a beneficial way. How do you think that's even possible? Usually we think if we compare ourselves, then that's bad, right? Is it always bad or good? It depends on us. So maybe our parents didn't know how to encourage us, to teach us. So then their default method is to compare you with the next person because they think that you know your friends, you're always with your friends. So you see your friends or your sister, and then it's easy to say, just copy that, and then you will be good, right? And for ourselves as well, we also take on that habit and we also compare ourselves because we also want to strive to be the best. We want to be loved, right? If we're not accepted by others, then we generally feel like we're not loved. But actually, we can catch ourselves every time we compare with ourselves with others in a way that is negative. If we compare ourselves with others and we think, I have to be exactly like that person, I have to be as good as that person, and then we beat ourselves up, then that is not very beneficial for ourselves. But if we look at somebody else and we think, wow, they are so diligent, wow, they are so wholehearted in their work, or they're so intelligent, maybe I can also up my game. Maybe I can also put some more time, devote some more time and energy in studying and do better. Then that is a gentle way we can encourage ourselves to do better, but not to beat ourselves up. So in that way, if we compare in that way, then it can become beneficial. And for example, if you hear your mom or your dad or the adults in your family say, you should be more like that person, you should be more like this person, you can turn on your auto filter. What is your auto filter? What is the point of what the parent or the adult in the family is trying to say. Is that person on the outside? Maybe they have good grades. Maybe they have achieved some things and your parents want you to be successful. Okay, your parents want you to be successful in life. Then we can just take note. Okay, my parents' idea of happiness is success like this. Okay, I don't have to be exactly like that, but duly noted, my parents want me to be happy, but they don't know how to express it skillfully. So they just point randomly to the neighbor or to someone else or even our own siblings. So we can just recognize that sometimes adults can be unskillful. We can auto-filter to see what the message underlying is. They may think that if you're not successful in their way, then that means you won't ultimately be happy or be loved. But that's just one definition. And when we compare ourselves with our siblings, we can just acknowledge, okay, I am comparing myself with my sister. Or okay, I'm comparing myself with my brother. And we can acknowledge it and then we can pause. Like for example, if I'm holding a pen like this, if I hold it for 2 minutes, do you think I will be tired? No? Oh, I'm very strong, huh? Okay. What if I hold this for 10 minutes? Do you think my hand will get tired? Yeah? What if I hold this for 10 hours? Will you call me super nun? No, it's 10 hours. What if I hold it for 24 hours? I don't sleep all night. I just hold this pen. Then I become super nun. Oh, but sometimes we hold our anxieties, our fears, and we hold our comparisons like this. We hold it year after year after year. Our mind becomes very tired, right? So anytime we recognize that we are comparing ourselves with our sister or brother or our friends or other people, our cousins, we just recognize, I'm holding the pen up in the air. My hand's getting tired. Okay, I can put it down. But then our mind automatically picks up again. We just remind ourselves, oh, I'm holding it again. Oh, so silly. Okay, put it down again. So we train ourselves. We train ourselves. And we just take note. For example, we take note of what good qualities we already have. We have to remind ourselves of all the other wonderful qualities we have. We have to give ourselves permission to acknowledge it. Especially for girls, we may think that you're not allowed to acknowledge your good qualities. Otherwise, they will say you're pompous or arrogant or full of yourself. But actually, no. If you have $50 in your wallet right now, that is $50 in your wallet. If I sit here and I tell you, oh, you don't have $50, you only have $20, does that change the fact that you have $50 in your wallet? No, right? But what if I say, hey, $50 is nothing. I have 100. Does that change the fact that you have $50? And also, you have the right to be happy with your $50. You don't have to have $100 like me. And just because I have $100 doesn't necessarily mean I'm happy. How many of you know somebody who has perfect grades, who looks like they're happy on the outside, but actually they don't know how to smile? Yeah, it's just the outside, the exterior, where they look like they're perfect. But why aren't they happy? I would rather have $50 and be happy than $100 but always suffering because I have to look perfect. That's such a boring life. Our life is for us to truly enjoy, to truly appreciate the wonders of life. So if others want us to be perfect in a specific way, we can just acknowledge, that's all they know. They don't know any better. They don't know more than maybe what we have been taught or maybe we have learned along the way. That there's more to life than looking perfect. So we can listen deeply. What is the underlying message? We can filter out what other people are saying. They compare, because they want you to be happy. At the very end, even if they're unskillful, if it's coming from parents or adults in your family. And then for ourselves, we can just acknowledge, I have a habit of comparing myself, but this is not my habit. It's been transmitted to me, also by my parents, also by my grandparents, also by society. It's just a human habit. And we can acknowledge and filter. And remember, just put it down whenever it's heavy and it's not serving you. And then we can change our way of comparing in a way that is beneficial, that helps us to grow. Thank you. Take care of your $50.
Thank you. Hello, Sanghas. Hello, brothers and sisters. So you briefly touched on this question earlier that I have briefly, but hopefully if you can, we'll go in a little more details in regards to multitasking. So when we come here, I feel like it's pretty simple in terms of letting go of a lot of the stuff, because we don't have the electronics, we don't have the priorities and the things that we have to worry about outside, and we're here just to practice. But in reality, when we're out there in society, just one example for myself, prior to coming here, I have to multitask a lot, and I have to prepare a lot so that I can make my time to come here. I guess the question is, when you have to multitask, how do you do so, and how do you make it effective?
So to repeat the question, if we have to multitask, how do we do that, and how do we do that effectively? So maybe I'll start somewhere. Let me start by saying, you actually don't have to. I don't know who tells you that you have to multitask, but it is, I understand where you're coming from. Like, we live a very busy life in society, can be either with study or with work. And there are so many things that we need to do, so many obligations we have, and deadlines we have to meet. So it feels that we never have enough time, and that we have to do a few things at the same time. You know, maybe we are making our homework while we are eating, while we are listening to some music. Or maybe at our jobs we are doing many things at the same time. But in my experience, it is actually, the quality of our work, of my work. It is better when I just, instead of multitask, when I monotask, when I really give my full attention to one thing. When I do that, I can work more efficiently. Instead of I do a little bit of this and a little bit of this and a little bit of this all at the same time, the quality of all these three things, they become a bit less than when I can give my time fully to one thing. So I would encourage you to try to monotask. You can very practically, you can also make a priority list. If there are many things you have to do, you can see like maybe some things are more important than other things. And you could just give priority to the important things first and give your full attention. When you finish something off that list, you can also like check it off and you will feel lighter. You will not feel that burdened anymore. There's one thing less to take care of. And that is only because we've given it our full attention and finished it. So whenever I have the chance, I will do my best to monotask. And when we really have to do more things at the same time, it can happen. But my priority then is to be there for myself, to be fully present. When I can stay in touch with my breathing and with my body while I am working, then I can do seemingly more things at the same time. In some way you can call that multitasking. My attention is to my breathing, my attention is to my body, my attention is to the work I'm doing, all at the same time. But if we keep our presence to what is actually happening in the present moment, it becomes all very integrated. So it becomes, you can do actions or the things you do as one whole. So instead of doing different things at the same time, it becomes one thing through our presence and through being able to unite our mind and our body and our actions. Don't know if my sisters would like to add something there.
Dear Sangha, the more I practice, the more I realize that my way of being is actually, for me, I feel it's much more important than the work itself. Sometimes, there's a tendency to get the work done. For instance, I give you an example. I need to wash my dishes. And so I do it. I can do, I have a choice to do it quickly so that I can move on to the next task, which I feel I would enjoy more, which is to maybe sit down for a cup of tea, for instance. And if I try to rush washing my dishes and I'm not really present for that act of washing the dishes, my body while washing the dishes might be a little bit stressed out because I'm trying to do it quickly. And so, in our daily life, that's a tendency or a strong habit that I may pursue if I'm not really mindful. If I'm not really there, I can be unmindful and do it rather quickly. And so I realized, what's the point of rushing, to get my dishes done? Why don't I slow down and enjoy washing the dishes? Because this is also a time that I can fully be present and to fully live. Why do I need to rush, to move on to the next task? And then from drinking tea, I move on to the next task, which is maybe going for a walk. And within my day, if I can continuously rush from one task to another, then I'm not really there. I'm not really fully living. I'm rushing to get things done. And then in the end, I might feel stressed out. I might feel tired. And I'm not at peace with myself at all. So is that what I want? So sometimes I would ask myself, if I'm meditating and if I'm practicing, then I need to slow down. And that's also so true for multitasking. If I really want, to live in such a way that I want to enjoy each moment, then I have to practice and I have to train myself to really slow down. That's why, when you come to a monastery, we have so many reminders to help us to practice stopping and to slow down. For instance, in this hall, we have the bell here. And so each time we listen to the bell, it is a chance for us to slow down, to stop, our mind from wandering off, from thinking of what we will do next or what has already happened. And so when we listen to the bell sounding, right away in that moment, we can invite our wandering mind to come back to this body. And when we are able to do that, we realize, in this moment, I'm sitting right here. I have nothing to do. I have nowhere to go. And I can enjoy this moment of just being here. And, outside of this hall, we also have other bells of mindfulness to help us to practice stopping. For instance, the bell inviting for each meal, or the telephone ringing. So all of those we use as bells of mindfulness for us to really practice to come back to the present moment. And if we are able to do that, then we are really, living each moment. And that's what the Buddha wants us to do, to really come home to the present moment, to experience this moment. Because if we continuously wander off, it could be planning for our future, or it could be having regrets that we have done or said, of what has already happened in the past, then we are not really here. We are not really there, living that moment. And, we are just passing the day, doing what we are doing, without really being in the present moment. And sometimes we refer to that as a hungry ghost. We are constantly wandering off and we don't really know where we're going. Do we want to be hungry ghosts, running into the past, into the future? But some of us, we live like that, but we don't know. And so if we are able to practice stopping and slowing down in our daily life with just doing one task at a time, I think it will help us to really be in touch with the present moment. And you will realize that when you are able to do that, each moment you are there with your body. Your mind is home in your body, and you are really experiencing with whatever you are eating, whether that is working on your computer, studying, doing the dishes, then you are one with that task. And I'm sure, like my brother have shared, if you are able to just do that task and be with that task, then I think it will be much, much more productive. And you will see the quality of the work that is being done is much, much higher than if you were to multitask and try to, get everything done at the same time. Because while you're eating and if you're studying and talking to a friend, I don't think you can be there 100%, with what's in front of you, with your studying, with the friend who you're having conversation with, or watching television at the same time. I don't think you can be 100% there for each activity if you're doing all at the same time. And I'm sure, I think some of you will agree with me on that, right? Does that make sense? Yeah. So thank you.
If I may, I'd like to add a tiny bit more. I would like to invite everybody to take one very deep inhale and hold your breath for as long as you can. And I'll count to 3. And then after I do the countdown, then raise your hand when you're out of breath, okay? So 3, 2, 1, hold your breath. And when you're out of breath, you can raise your hand. You're also holding your breath. Wow, you have a very long breath. Okay. Raise your hand up high once you have already released your breath. Okay, yeah? Are you also holding your breath? Yeah? How is that possible? You're super teens. Okay. So, when you were holding your breath, what was the most important thing that came to your mind? What did you want the most in this whole wide world? What? Ice cream? What? You wanted air? Okay. Anybody else wanted air? One more breath? Yeah? Okay. What if I told you that you only had one more breath? Would all of your work matter anymore? So in society, we're told you have to multitask. You have to get 20 things done with a short amount of time. Go. So we all run, and it's like a rat race. We run. But where are we running to? Because the work is never done. Once you finish this homework, another homework pops up. Once you finish this exam, another exam pops up. Once you finish washing your laundry, folding your laundry, putting it away, oh, what? The week is over, and then you do it over again. You just finished breakfast, and then now you have lunch, or you will have lunch soon. So we run, and then we run to our grave. Our life goes by very, very quickly. So what is the meaning of life? But at the same time, we have to make ends meet. We have to make sure that the work gets done. We have to get a paid salary so we can help our family. So how do we do this? Can you just come to the monastery very often like this? Not really, huh? But if you really wanted to. How about we not choose either the monastery or home? Can you bring the monastery back home? How? I just see some of you nod your head. Is it realistic? Oh, now you don't look at me anymore. So, I think even though there is a lot of work, we can delegate the work. We can make sure our family becomes a team where we spread out all the chores so that not only the parents in the family have to hold all of the burden, the stress with the work, but we can all chip in. My sister has 2 boys, and my 2 nephews, they are little rascals. They run everywhere in the house, they throw toys, they make a big mess. And in the beginning, I would pick up the toys after them, and my sister would say, no, we have to teach them how to put away their own toys. And then my sister sent me a video clip, and she taught them how to do the laundry. So my little nephew, he would waddle up to the washing machine, and he would put his clothes in, and his older brother would also put it in, and it became a game. And the both of them were like, see who can put more clothes more quickly into the washing machine. And for many of us, we may think, oh, that's child labor. Or oh, will the clothes be clean or will they be dirty? But actually, it's more planting the seeds of joy. So the chores don't become a burden where only the mom or the dad has to do, but the whole house can be involved so that we work together, we live together. How many of you have tried to enter the kitchen only to have your parents shoo you out? Go away, go away. Anybody? I remember when I wanted to learn how to cook, I would go to the kitchen and say, go away, you're too little. I'm like, but I want to learn how to cook. Any of you have that experience? You're shooed away? Yeah, some of us. How many of you do household chores at home? Oh, very well. That's great. You can come help us in the monastery, okay? Okay. So we can reorganize our lifestyle in a way that works for us. For example, we had one family, after they came back from the monastery, they had an argument. the mom, the dad, and the older brothers and the older sisters, they were all shouting back and forth. And then the youngest child in the house looked at this chaotic family and then went to the small bell in the house and invited the sound of the bell. And then the entire family was quiet and they looked at each other and they all laughed. And then that was a bell of mindfulness from the youngest child of the house. So we can bring the monastery back home in that way. And that can help us to see the value of monotasking so that we don't have to fall into whatever society tells us. Run, 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 run to your grave. Okay, if I tell you to run to your grave, will you run to your grave? I'm a nun. Then why you listen to society saying, go, 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 run, 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 run? We can enjoy our life instead of having, while we're running, our life passes by and next thing you know, it's like, oh, I didn't really live my life. I was a zombie my whole life. That's so silly. We don't have to do that. So I think having everybody pitch in and also asking for help and sharing about the stresses, not in a complaining way, but in a way where we get support from the whole family. You'll be surprised to see like how we can all chip in and be like a team. And when we have teamwork, then everything will be able to flow a lot more easily. That's how we do it in the monastery. We divide up all the work and we take turns with the work. And then also if one of us shares that it's actually more than we can handle, then the rest of us will also help out so that we can both monotask, be truly present and have a quality of life, and also get our chores done. So it doesn't mean we have to sacrifice one or another, but we have to reorganize our life in a way that it is possible. For example, if I don't have enough time to enjoy my coffee, I will wake up earlier and then I have a little bit more time. So if we see that it is important, then we can reorganize our life. And we also have the right to say no. It's very easy for us to think we have to say yes to everybody all the time, be always available for others, and we neglect ourselves. But it's okay to also say no sometimes to take care of ourselves. How many of you have ever heard of a lazy day? Raise your hand. Hi, 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 hi. All of the monastics, you should raise your hand too. We, in the monastery, we have one lazy day every week. And this lazy day is precious because in this lazy day, you are allowed to be lazy. But when we're lazy, we still practice mindfulness. It's just that we don't follow a specific schedule. You don't have to wake up at 5 or 5:30. It's okay to wake up at 7 or at 8. But when we wake up, we are mindful. And whatever happens and unfolds in the day, we allow it to unfold naturally, but with a gentle mindfulness as well. So if at home it's too much to have a day, we can still have a lazy hour. Instead of a happy hour, we can have a lazy hour, right? Where in that 1 hour, it's our time where nobody can tap us on the shoulder and say, hey, go do this, hey, go do that. That hour, you can meditate or you can enjoy walking meditation or even deep relaxation. How many of you will bring sleeping meditation home? It's for free. Everyone should raise your hand. You can practice it at night. Okay. I wish all of us a lot of joy and luck in this. Thank you.
I am an educator working at a Title I school, and a lot of my preschoolers come with a lot of trauma. How do I stop myself from getting secondhand trauma from them and the burnout that causes, while also giving my students the support they need?
Thank you for the question. Let me repeat that. So the question is, our friend is a teacher and working in a school where the children, the students, they share their trauma as well and their difficulties. And the question is how she can protect herself to get like a second-hand trauma and to get burned out by these possibly heavy conversations as well. I think we both have something to share. So let me start briefly. It is, I think, a very good and valid question, because valid for everyone here. Not all of us are teachers, but all of us have some times in our life when we have a friend that is suffering a lot, or a family member that is suffering a lot, and they come to us and ask for our help or for a listening ear. And that can be much. It can be a lot to handle. And especially when we do that professionally and like as a therapist or a psychiatrist, and we can hear that all the time. So it is a very important question to know how to best deal with that. And what comes up for me is, here we practice as a community, and many people come to the monastery as well with some kind of baggage. Maybe for this retreat it's a bit different. It's also out of tradition. But there are other retreats. There are a lot of people who suffer a lot in the world, and they come here because they want to try and find a way out of their suffering. But they come here with their suffering and they share that with us as well. So there are also a lot of things that we listen to and that we try to embrace together. And I think that is straight away one of there are two things that come to mind, that how we are able to do this. One is through our practice. So whenever we hear someone with difficulties, when I have, for example, when there is a consultation or a friend shares a difficulty with me, I have to know that before I feel fresh. Because if I do not have any freshness in myself, I also have nothing to offer to the other person. So I need to develop my space and my freshness in myself. And that is not done in the 5 minutes before I have a chat with a friend, but that is really done in our daily life. So to really establish ourselves in our mindfulness and make sure that in our life I'm able to touch the calm, the peace, and the joy and the freshness in my life. So when a time comes when I myself am in difficulties, or a friend is in a difficulty, that I have a kind of reservoir to tap into, that I have something to offer there, that I have freshness to offer and space. So it is important when there is a more difficult conversation, or a conversation where difficult emotions or trauma comes up, that I prepare myself for a conversation like that. Maybe I go for a walk before, or I sit a little bit, or I have a little pause, just a moment for myself to breathe, so that I'm in the right state of mind. And, I'm also aware that none of us has an infinite amount of energy and an infinite capacity to just keep on receiving and keep on listening to difficulties. So we also have to be mindful of that and realize when we have had enough for that moment. And this is the beauty of how we live in community. We are here with many brothers and sisters and many friends. And the time when I feel depleted, when I don't have the energy to listen to someone, I'm sure that one of my siblings is still fresh, and we can share this responsibility with each other. So I'd encourage you to try and practice in your daily life to have this space and this freshness in the times of difficulty, but also in your work environment, you can create this a sense of togetherness. We can also create sangha or community in our work environment, so that we can share the load and share the pressure that is on us. So that might, in a school, if you're a teacher, there might be other teachers who are interested in, after lunch, practicing some total relaxation together and reset, refresh for the day, that you have moments in the day that you can refresh yourself. So that is some input from me, but I saw Sister Kunyim also wanted to share something.
Oftentimes when we hear other people's pain and suffering, or it could be our own pain and suffering, there's a tendency or that, within our day, sometimes we can be doing something and our mind is thinking of that. And it's very natural that it can come up. And so I think it's important that we remind us to come back to the practice of noticing that it's coming up, within our mind, and to recognize that, okay, yeah, it's arising, the pain and the suffering, or the trauma, or the stories that we hear from other people, it's coming up. And so I think the practice in that moment is to recognize that it's coming up and to just recognize it only. And if we don't practice to recognize it and to stop from there, there's a chance that we can take off with that story again. And when we allow ourselves, to allow our mind to take off with that story again, we are actually feeding into it, and we may have a conversation with that pain and suffering once more. And that can happen, throughout the day, while we are doing other tasks, while we are walking, while we are working, while we are eating. It can just come, if it's our own pain and suffering, it might be very strong when it comes up. So I think it's very important that we recognize that it's arising, and to practice just to recognize it and not allow it to take us off. Allow that mind to wander off and to feed into it. Because when we feed into it and we allow that story to take us away, then we might unintentionally feed into it and allow that pain and suffering to surface again. And it's like experiencing it all over again. So I think it's important that we recognize it and just to practice mere recognition that it's arising, and allow your mind, and you can just remind yourself, okay, I recognize that you are there, that you are arising, and I will take care of you, my pain and suffering, or your pain and suffering, the pain and suffering of someone else. And then you can just practice to come back to the present moment and to do whatever you are doing in that moment. So I think that's important. If we don't want to, continue to nurture that pain and suffering. It could be our own pain and suffering or the pain and suffering of others. And if we are able to do that, then we will not feed into it, and we will not be too burnt out from thinking too much, because I think we do have that tendency to think too much. And sometimes we burn ourselves. Yeah. We stress ourselves out with the thinking that's happening in our head. What might have been done is already done, and it's already the past. But because our mind continues to think about it, that's why it's like re-experiencing it over and over again. And I think the practice is to recognize that and not allow that to happen. And so we really have to remind ourselves to really come back to the present moment. Whether in that moment we are sitting, to really, just invite the mind to come home and to be present in that moment and to recognize what's happening in that moment. And so that we don't run off into the past, we don't run off into the future. So that's why the practice of stopping and coming back to the present moment is so crucial, so that we don't kill ourselves or burden ourselves with the pain and suffering that has already happened. And that's one way to help us to heal and to transform our own pain and suffering, also the pain and suffering of other people. And like my brother have shared, it's also important at the same time to nourish our joy and our happiness, so that we have something to work with. If we are not strong, if we are not fresh, if we are not solid ourselves, then it's very difficult that, when something like that happens, it can just knock us down. And so that's also important at the same time to nourish our joy and our happiness, so that we are strong, we are solid, to withstand these storms that might pass our way. Yeah, thank you.
So, dear friends, I'm sorry I still see some people sitting there, but unfortunately we have run out of time, because it's almost feeding time, one of our favorite times of the day, right? Followed by total relaxation. Any questions you might have? We have some written questions as well, which we will pass on to the Dharma teacher for tomorrow. But just know that having this question in our heart, if you were sitting there, that is already very good. Don't think about it too much, but just let it sit in your heart, because all of us have a lot of wisdom and a lot of insight as well. And we just let that marinate and continue to practice and see what comes out of that. Maybe suddenly you will have an insight about the question you had in your heart. Thank you all very much for your attention this morning. We will finish how we started, by listening to 3 sounds of the bell together. So we can sit upright, but relaxed. Close your eyes and see how you're seated here. Be in touch with your body, your breath, as a way of showing love for yourself, to be there for yourself.